these OTAs and minicamp seems like a really good opportunity for Van Ness, considering the injuries he had. How has he responded from that?
Yeah, I think he's shown a ton of growth. I think it shows, it's reflective in his work and how he prepares. He's always prepared the right way, I think. But for a lot of these rushers, it takes them some time to get going. So, but I've been really happy, without pads on, in terms of what he's been able to do.
What can you evaluate with a pass rusher without pads on?
I think there's some things certainly that are transferable, like how guys are using their hands, how they're attacking edges. But ultimately, you'll have a much clearer picture of that when you are in full pads.
Jordan mentioned yesterday working on his footwork within the pocket. What have you seen from him in that regard, and what can that do for his game?
Well, I think that's the key to all quarterbacks, is just trying to be as consistent and as efficient as humanly possible. So I think that's always going to be kind of at the forefront of our focus, especially this time of the year.
What happened to Musgrave during practice?
Yeah, well, we got a couple guys that, I'm not going to get into the specifics, but we got a couple guys that were out and that have been out, so that we're just trying to be precautious with.
You got a bunch of D tackles out. Does that complicate things as far as running a practice?
Oh yeah, big time. So yeah, we're thin at the D line. We're thin at tight end position. So that has definitely today it's going to impact the practice. You guys know I don't love 7-on-7. We're going to have a 7-on-7 period. So you just got to adapt and adjust.
Now Jager got some reps with the starting offensive line group. Obviously, because there's some injuries there, but what do you see from him so far?
Yeah, I see a really young guy that's extremely coachable, athletic, and is maximizing the most of his opportunities. So I think every practice he gets a little bit more comfortable, a little bit better, and I could see him. He's definitely going to be in the mix to compete for playing time this year.
Even though there's obviously aspects to offensive and defensive line play in this setting that aren't great, what's the value for him to get that much work?
Well, I think it's more so just the knowledge of making sure we're, how we're targeting up front, working the combination blocks, just so this is a great, I would say, introduction for these guys in the preparation for training camp when, the evaluations really count.
What kind of flexibility does Burton give you inside, and is that something that you felt like this offensive line could use more of going into this season?
Yeah, I think that was an attractive piece to his game, was that versatility and flexibility. So I think he's got a chance to he'll impact really any of the inside three positions.
Jordan pointed to Savion yesterday as one of the guys who's kind of stood out to him. What have you seen during the second go around here?
I think just, more familiarity with our offense and understanding. You always want these guys to understand the detail. I think that separates good from great, and understanding why we're doing certain things, and so they can go apply that, in game situations when it really matters.
And Jordan has the ability to throw off platform and without maybe the best fundamentals and still make it work. How hard is it to get him to play with those fundamentals, even when he can't do the other stuff?
I think that's something that you're talking about with, not only him, but I think just quarterbacks in general. I'm a big believer in balance in the pocket, and some guys have an uncanny ability to, be off balance and still make the throw. I just think when you talk about the consistency at which you can make those throws, the more balanced you are in the pocket, typically it's going to lead to better accuracy.
It's obviously early, but what have you thought of Drones and McCord?
They're a work in progress. I think that, like many young quarterbacks, there's just so much to learn, and let's be honest. It's limited reps for them, so they got to maximize those limited opportunities that they get. But I think they've shown a lot of progress. It's just you'd love to get them more reps to really see what they can do.
I know it's not cut and dry, but does it take a certain amount of time for a young quarterback to know what you're doing to such an extent that he can just go play football rather than thinking through?
Yeah, I mean, I think like you throw a lot of information at them. Bottom line is those guys got to be able to function, and there's some things that it's going to take them a year or two to get. And I think every person's learning curve, especially when you talk about quarterbacks, is a little bit different. Some of it is what have they been exposed to in the past, like from their college or even high school. But I mean, a lot of these guys nowadays, they've never barked out a cadence, and something like that, although I think most people take it for granted, but like that's kind of like the starting point to get your offense going. It's just your command in the huddle, your urgency to the line of scrimmage, making sure everybody's getting up there urgently, and then having just the command and cadence is critical, I think, to offense of success.
Good.
What's Josh Whyle been able to do with the extra reps with Musgrave and Kraft?
Yeah, he's shown a lot of good things. You know, I've always really liked Josh's versatility in terms of being a movable piece, but he's gotten some opportunities on things that maybe Luke would have done. Like yesterday, he caught like a little post route over the middle and came through and made a great play on that. So the more reps he's getting, I think the better he's getting.
Yeah, wide receiver, Will Shepherd back. Have you seen progress from him in the last year?
Yeah, I think all those guys. I mean, but ultimately it's going to come down to training camp, and then, you know, those guys are going to get a lot of opportunities in those preseason games as well.
Going back to Wiley, obviously the setup for these practices is not everything you'd love it to be in the offseason, but he didn't have an offseason with you guys last year.
Yeah.
So how much of a difference does that make, not just for him, but for a lot of guys, just so they're in a better position?
Yeah, I think that's critical to all these guys, is just understanding, again, the detail, the why behind what we're doing, what we're asking them to do, and then obviously this is a great time of the year to kind of refine technique and footwork and those core fundamentals that typically lead to successful play.